All right, I see lots of people that are starting to come on to the webinar, and that is fantastic. We're going to wait just a couple minutes here before we get fully rolling. I need to do a couple of things kind of administrative wise on this. So let me go ahead and take care of that right now. While we're waiting for some people to come on, if you could find the chat box on the Zoom interface here and just let me know where you're coming from today, that would be great. Find out where everybody's coming from here. All right, trying to go live here on a couple other platforms as well and had an issue here. So let's see if this is going to work. All right, see, we got people coming from all kinds of places in Colorado. We got Texas. I know that we are actually have people here from all over the United States. So that is great that everyone's able to join us. The other thing that I've noticed here is that a number of people are also coming here that have seen some of my webinars in the past. If you've seen a webinar in the past, why don't you type in the chat box yes, and if you haven't, type in no. All right, good to see you here, Peter. All right, it looks like we've got our live streaming set up. I think that is working. So one final question here that I have, and then we'll really get started here, is how many different revenue streams do you currently have on your website? And by a revenue stream, I mean if you sell products on your website, that's one revenue stream. If you have advertising on your website, that's a second revenue stream. If you have affiliate links on your website, that's a third revenue stream, and so forth. If you don't have any and it's just an informational website, that's okay too. Just enter a 0 into the chat box there. All right, I'm seeing lots of ones, which is kind of what I expect from people. And in fact, there's some people that have said they don't have any or that they've got 0, and that's not unusual either. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about here today. Let me bring up my presentation here and we will get rolling. If anyone else comes in, they can join us at this point here in just a minute. All right, hopefully everybody can currently see my screen here, and this is what we're going to be talking about today is actually driving traffic to your website as a way of monetizing your expertise. So the question here that has to be asked, of course, is what do people do when they're stuck at home? And the answer, of course, is that they start buying things online. This is what people are referring to as the new normal. And what I want to do is really make sure that the new normal for you is an opportunity rather than a crisis. The fact is that lots of people have seen their businesses decline as a result of everything that's happened this year with the pandemic. And the reality is that people are actually buying stuff online still, and in fact, buying more than they have in the past. As you can see from this slide, online shopping during COVID-19 has exceeded the 2019 holiday season levels, which is the first time that's actually ever happened in history. This is that online buying is above what it has been during the holiday levels. And obviously, it continues to go up. Sales are up online over 70% this year. You can see here another piece of content about how the pandemic has actually driven baby boomers to increase their digital spending. Lots of people that were in the boomer generation were only buying things in physical stores before, and they've kind of been forced into buying things online. Many small businesses, 92% of them have said that they've actually had to reinvent themselves during the pandemic. And one of the top way that people have done that is a new online delivery channel. There's some other things in here as well, new virtual services, new products, new customers, and so forth. And we're obviously living in a time where we don't want to be closing our businesses. We really want to be in a position where we can expand our businesses. And doing business online actually gives us that opportunity. You know that there's lots of people out there that have been freaking out because of the whole pandemic situation, but there are other people out there that are really looking for opportunities. And I hope that everybody that's on this presentation today, that's where you are, is that you're looking for new opportunities, because the fact is that people still need things. And when the dust settles on this whole coronavirus thing, there's going to be businesses that go under and others that have risen to a whole new level of success. In fact, if you look at history, during the last recession of 2008, 2009, more than 50% of the 2009 list of Fortune 500 companies were launched during a recession or bear market. So as the pandemic pushes on, online sales continue to grow, and we want to figure out how we can actually take advantage of that, regardless of whether we are selling products, whether we're selling services, whether we are doing events, any type of coaching, providing financial services. All of these things are available for us to really take advantage of during this time. So now, before I go on, I know that some of you, many of you came here today because you're on my email list. You may be a client of mine already, but others of you have no idea who I am. So I want to take just a minute here to introduce myself. My name is Greg Jameson, and I have been in the computer software industry in some form or fashion, basically my entire adult life. You can see here, I started developing software applications in 1985. I've been developing internet applications since 1995 and have been creating e-commerce solutions since 2002. So I've been doing this for a long time. During all this time, I've won a number of awards. I've been named International Developer of the Year, Colorado Small Business of the Year, and I've actually had my company listed on the Inc. 500. That's not the Inc. 5000, but the Inc. 500 of America's fastest growing private companies. And I have built literally hundreds and hundreds of websites during this time. Many of these are actually small mom and pop organizations, perhaps not unlike many of you here, where you've got just a handful of employees, and other ones have been kind of household names. People like Chase Payment Tech, Los Alamos National Laboratory, Ball Aerospace, and so forth. I'm also the author of multiple best-selling books. Both of my books, Amazon's Dirty Little Secrets and The Influencer Effect, went to #1 on Amazon. And this didn't happen because I'm such a great writer. Quite honestly, I don't know that I am that great of a writer, but I had lots of friends out there that were promoting my book for me. And this is really one way of driving traffic to your website that we'll talk more about here, is getting others to promote your products for you. Now, as part of putting together this online course here, I have actually written a brand new book, called it Monetize Your Expertise While Working From Anywhere. This book is not yet available, but I am going to make a special offer to everybody that is currently watching this webinar. There's actually 4 different classes in this this set of free online courses here that I'm offering. And if you come to all 4 classes, the first one is obviously happening right now, and we're going to do 1 a week for the next 4 weeks. If you come to all 4 of these, I will send you a physical copy of this book. And in fact, I'll sign it for you if you want, because it isn't that going to be a physical copy, not just a digital copy. So the way that you claim that is you come to all 4 of these classes. Okay, so this slide is entitled Time Machines and Lessons Learned. Some of the things that I've learned about website design over all of these years. First, I want to tell you a little bit here about this picture. This picture of a time machine that you see here was actually made by a friend of mine. He took an old Airstream trailer and built this time machine. And it is truly a piece of art and an amazing piece of history. You go in there and you see that there's some books on the shelves in there. There are things like Jules Verne and so forth that are the books in there. And then you can, when you sit in this chair, if you actually start pushing the buttons, you can see these green fluids and these flashing lights and these dials and so forth. And everything starts to move, and you really do feel like you are traveling in time. So it's kind of fun to do that. So I thought I'd throw that picture in there. But the point is that if I could go back in time, what things have I really learned about having an online business that make a big difference to those companies that are successful and those that have not been? And there's really 4 things. There's your mindset, there's the amount of traffic that your website gets, there's money, as in, do you have enough money to actually start a business and run it, and your skill level. And these are all things that I talk about in the online course. This is a free online course, as I've said. It's going to run here for 4 weeks. We're going to do an hour a week. At the end of the 4 weeks, you are going to have an opportunity to join my complete online course. And there's actually some of the people watching this webinar here today that have been through that course. And I'm sure that they can vouch for people if they are interested in taking that full online course at the end of this. But my goal here is to give you a ton of value in this free online course so that you can actually make a good decision here at the end of this as to whether or not you need any more information or not. And if you do, that's great. And if you don't, there's no pressure on that. So the fact that I've got people here in this course that are coming back for a refresher is encouraging as well. And I really am excited that you're here and we're going to learn some of this stuff that we're going to talk about here today. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is actually getting traffic to your website. And I love this quote here by Warren Buffett, that if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die. The fact is that on average, millionaires have 7 streams of income while the middle class has only 1, their jobs. And you'll notice I asked that question at the beginning of this, is how many different revenue streams do you have on your website? And most people said either 0 or 1. The fact is that multiple streams of income is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And the most successful clients that I have figured out how to turn their website into a sales machine. They have multiple streams of income on their website. And these streams of income can include some of the things that you see up here. Ads, which might be things like Google AdSense, paid directories, multi-vendor sites, renting out internal pages on your website. They might be affiliate links. These are both links that you link to somebody else's products and services and get paid a commission on, as well as you having your own affiliate program where you are paying out commissions to have people send traffic to your website. Information products can include all kinds of things such as membership sites, online courses, ebooks, anything where you're selling information. Physical products, of course, is what most people think of when we think of monetizing your website and having a web store. This obviously includes sites like Amazon and eBay. It also includes drop shipping. So different ways of selling physical products. Certainly selling services, and these services can be things like coaching, consulting, rentals, other manual labor. You know, maybe you are taking appointments because you have a plumbing business. Any types of services that you can sell on your website. Events are things where you're selling tickets to things, and those can be both live and virtual. And investments include things like reselling properties for a profit, such as your domain name. So lots of ways that you can actually make money on a website. Now, if you look at my very first book here called Amazon's Dirty Little Secrets, one of the things that I was telling people to do was to basically emulate Amazon, do the marketing things that they're doing in order to market your own website. But if we take that a step further and look at how many ways that Amazon makes money, we can see that Amazon has multiple streams of income on their website. They sell online physical products. That's probably what most people think of is you go to Amazon, you buy a book, you buy a toaster, whatever it is you're going to do. They also have digital downloads that you can buy, whether that be ebooks, music, whatever. Amazon has physical stores as well. They have a membership site. Their membership program is called Prime, and you get all kinds of benefits with it in addition to the 2-day free shipping. They have multi-vendor sales. Anybody can go and list their products for sale on Amazon, and Amazon, of course, takes a cut when they sell your products on their site. They sell ads. In fact, ads is a huge revenue maker for Amazon. They have their AWS or Amazon Web Services program. They also have financial services where they are selling credit card services, both for you to process credit cards and for them to obviously make interest on their financial things. So they've got lots and lots of ways that they monetize their website. So if we look at how you can make $100 an hour from your website, the first thing that we have to do is say, well, we need multiple sources of revenue. And then we need to maximize your value per visitor. These numbers are not set in stone numbers. $1.70 per 100 visitors is actually fairly typical for people that are selling ads, like through Google AdSense on their website. So you get 100 visitors into your website, you'll make $1.70. Affiliate links, you might make a little more. Digital downloads, a little more. Physical products, depending upon what you're selling, that could be all over the board. You know, that's highly variable. Consulting, same thing. It could be all over the board depending upon what you're charging. So there's really three keys here to making money with your website. Multiple streams of revenue, getting a higher cost per sale, and getting more visitors to your website, which then results in more sales. It's really interesting, and this is a stat that I think a lot of people don't really know, but if you have a website, there's only about a 25% chance that anyone's ever going to visit it at all. This came from Neil Patel, who basically did a study on this, and basically 75% of the websites never get any traffic at all. So if you're not able to be found, your site simply is never going to generate any sales. You have to be visible. So you basically want to move away from being one of these 75% where you have no visitors to where you're getting like 6,000 visitors every single day, to where you are having a site that gets 50,000 visitors or more per day. And if you think of the number of people on this planet that could potentially visit your site, 50,000 visitors per day may seem like a stretch when you first think about it, but with the billions and billions of people out there on the internet, this is actually entirely possible to do. So if you multiply all of these streams of revenue times the number of visitors per day, that is how you're going to start making money. And it doesn't really matter whether you are selling a big ticket item. I've got a customer that sells $500,000 concrete pumps. They obviously only need to sell one pump to kind of make their whole month, to people that are selling cracker seasonings. And both of these companies are highly successful with their websites. And the point is, it doesn't really matter whether you've got a high ticket item, a low ticket item. It's possible to make money with your website. So let's say that you want to generate $500,000 per year. Looks like I need an extra zero after my comma here. But we want to create $500,000 per year off of our website. That means that we need to sell about $1,400 a day. If we look at that 50,000 visitors per day, that means that we are going to generate $35.71 per visitor. So now we have to go back and look at all of these multiple streams of income that we talked about. Are we going to sell physical products that are going to average $35, $36 a sale? Or are we going to create these ads? Are we going to create these other links? Are we going to be selling services and so forth? That's basically how we're going to get to $500,000 or $1 million or more per year on our website. So the companies that have websites that are successful basically have three things in common in terms of generating traffic. First, they get found, then they get clicked on, and then they get repeat visitors. So let's talk about how you get your website found in the first place. The number one question that people always ask me when I tell them what I do for a living is, how do I get on the first page of Google? And like I said, less than 25% of websites are ever going to be found by anyone. So the way that you get on the first page of Google is you are the best answer on the internet. Now you might be saying, the best answer to what? And that's the question that you really need to ask yourself is, what question are people that are looking for what I have to offer, what are they asking? And whatever that question is that they're asking, you need to be the best answer out there. Now that is the most simplistic thing, but what ends up happening is that boils down to something that we call SEO, or search engine optimization. I get emails like this at least one or two a week where people say, hey, we've got this great SEO offer where you can get top Google ranking. And they're going to tell me all of these different things that they can do for me. They're going to do these directory submissions and press release submissions and articles written and directory links and competitor analysis and alt tag changes and all of this stuff. And the price to do this is going to be a mere $2,500 to $5,000 or more every single month, ongoing forever and ever. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but $2,500 to $5,000 a month forever and ever is not an insignificant investment for something that I'm not sure if it's really going to work. So as I've been trying to help people over the years here, I have come up with this thought that there has to be an easier way. There's got to be a way that you can rank people on Google without having to go through all of these different gyrations and spending that kind of money. And it turns out you actually can. And the answer is that you rank YouTube videos, and that will drive people, that will drive your search results on Google as well. And the reason is that not only is YouTube the world's second largest search engine, but it's owned by Google. And because it's owned by Google, when you have these videos on YouTube and you link back to your website from these videos, then Google takes a look at that link and goes, wow, this must be really important because there's a video on YouTube about it and it's pointing to this website, so I'm going to kick them up in the search results. In spite of that, only 9% of all businesses are actually using YouTube. Now, 70% of the searches that are out there are what are called long tail keywords. And this is really what you want to concentrate on when you're trying to rank your videos up on YouTube. So the reason why long-term keywords are better than generic keywords is that basically they're highly targeted and they will always outperform a more generic keyword. So you can see here that I've got a long tail keyword in this, or I've got a generic keyword in this case of bicycle. And you can see that it gets lots and lots of people that search on bicycles. If we come down here to beach cruiser, it gets fewer searches. And if we actually have somebody type into the search engine, black 10-speed beach cruiser, that person knows exactly what it is that they're looking for. And because they know exactly what it is they're looking for, when they click on that search result, they're much more likely to convert. And by convert, I mean they're actually going to buy the thing, or they're going to at least sign up for an email newsletter so that they can get more information about it. They know what it is that they're looking for. So even though the volume of searches is lower, the likelihood of somebody clicking on that link and then taking an action is much greater. So that's what we want to do, is we actually want to rank for long tail keywords. So we're going to basically go through the process of uploading a video to YouTube and try to get it on page 1. And when we do this, there are certain places where we want to put in those long tail keywords. The title of the video, the description, and the tags or keywords. So when we put black 10-speed beach cruiser, for example, into each of those areas, then it's going to help us with our rankings on YouTube. Now, can anybody else out there think of where your keywords might need to appear besides the title, description, and tags? Go ahead and type into the chat area where else you think that your keywords should appear besides the title, description, and tags. Okay, as it turns out, the best place, the other place where you want to do this is in the narrative of the video itself. And the reason is that YouTube uses voice recognition software to not only see if you're using copyrighted materials like music, but to actually see what your video is about. They will go in there and they will put closed captioning in there with their voice recognition software. And because of that, they know if your video is actually about a black 10-speed beach cruiser. So you want it in your audio script as well as in the written content that you are going to put out there about the video. Now, the way that I go about doing this for people is I use a software program that allows me to go in there and discover how competing videos are actually doing on YouTube. So in this case here, I was looking for videos about jalapeno salsas. I don't remember exactly what the keyword was that I put in there to search here, but the best jalapeno salsa you can see, and it comes up and it shows me what the top 5 videos are for the best jalapeno salsas. And when I click on view keywords, it shows me all of the keywords that they actually put into those videos. So I can just go in there and I can copy those keywords for my videos. The other thing that's going to happen here is it's going to show me the ranking difficulty to have this happen. So when I was doing Texas jalapeno salsa mix here, it said that the ranking difficulty for that is 99%. Basically, it was saying, look, buddy, you're not going to hit the #1 spot on YouTube for those keywords. But the 5th degree of ranking difficulty is only 4%. I could pretty easily get a video for Texas jalapeno salsa mix on the first page of YouTube because there's not a lot of competition by the time I get down to the 5th video. Just the first one's going to be hard. So I went in there and I put in that I'm going to do Texas jalapeno salsa mix. I put in my description, I put in my keywords, I put in my tags, and I come back through and I analyze it and I get an optimization score. And what you're trying to do is get an optimization score here of at least 90%. In this case, I was able to optimize the video at 100%. I uploaded it for the customer. And if I then go in and type in best Texas gourmet salsa, it was not only coming up on the first page of YouTube, but the video itself was coming up on the first page of Google. And you can see that this is a great listing on Google because now I not only have my video on there, but it's showing an image there as well. This is likely to get clicked on when people do that. If I go into the video itself, then you can see here the very first thing that is in there is a link to their website. So Google actually goes out there, they take a look at that and they say, that's awesome that there is this link from this video to this website, and therefore we're going to give it a higher ranking. And people, when they go to YouTube, of course, they can click through here then to get to the website as well. So you might be saying, well, that's great. You were able to pull that off, but doesn't that just kind of disappear over time? And the fact is that YouTube is the only place where when you put content out there, like right now, I'm live streaming this on Facebook. And as a result of that, Facebook is going to promote this video here for a couple of days. But with YouTube, the longer the video is out there, the more traffic it gets and the more relevant it becomes. So I actually did this same type of thing here with another customer for Pakistan baskets. And you can see that this video is appearing right here on page 1 of the Google search results for Pakistan baskets. And what you probably can't see is that I uploaded this video 10 years ago. So you can do this with any video. I recommend that you do it with videos that are basically around 2 minutes long, and you go out there, you research the keywords, and you put the appropriate keywords and links in there. And with that, when you get a video on page 1 of YouTube, it will help drive traffic through Google as well. All right, the next section here, get clicked on. The fact is that once you get up there to the first page of Google, you want people to actually click on your website so that you are getting traffic. There's 10 different websites on the first page of Google. If you end up on the second or third page, there's 10 websites on each of those, and people probably aren't even going to go to the second and third pages. Certainly by the time you're down to page number 10, you're not going to be getting much traffic. So you want to get there on the first page of Google, and once you're there, of the websites that are presented, you want to have your website be the one that gets clicked on. And the way that you do that is you become the only logical choice. Now take a look at this search result that I did here. I typed in house painter into Google, and you'll notice that the top 3 websites here out of 190 million websites, that it's showing me 3 websites that are close to where I am. And if you look at these, which one are you the most likely to click on if you were doing this search? Why don't you go ahead and type that into the chat as to which one you would be the most likely to click on here. Yeah, I'm seeing people here answering the one with the most stars, the second one. And that's absolutely the case, that's what most people would do. This one's got 65 reviews with a 4.9 star rating. They are the most logical choice that you would choose if you were actually looking for a house painter, and this is the results that Google displayed to you. So the number and quality of reviews that you have on Google is extremely important, much more important than the number and quality of reviews that you have on Facebook or Yelp or TripAdvisor or any of those other review sites that are out there. You want to get high quality reviews on Google. And there's another reason why this is important, is it's not just because people will be more likely to click on your website, but the fact is that Google actually looks at these reviews too and gives you a point system, which they apply to your Google ranking. So you can see here that you basically get 10 points for every single review that you have. And if you have a written review that has more than 200 characters, somebody actually went out there, they took the time to explain what their experience with your business was, you get 10 more points. Then basically you also get 1 point per rating. So you have a 5-star rating, people have written you a 200 character review, the review itself, you get 25 points for having a 5-star review here. That will kick your website up above your competitors by getting these reviews. Now, people ask all the time, how many reviews do I need? And the answer is, you need 1 more than what your competitor has. So I can't just tell you that you need to go out there and get 10 reviews. If your competitor has 100 reviews, then quite honestly, you need to get 101 reviews. You need more reviews than your competitor has, and you need to have those be the highest quality reviews that you actually can get. Now, some of the reasons why reviews are important is that 97% of people search for local businesses online. 93% read those online reviews. And most consumers look at 2+ sites before making the decision. It's interesting that 85% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. And 77% of consumers think that reviews that are older than 3 months are no longer relevant. That means that you basically need to have this constant and steady supply of high quality reviews coming into your business at all times. Now, one way that you can do this is you can create a custom Google review link. If you go and you grab the URL out of Google for where it says write a review, you're going to get this big, long, ugly string like you see here at the top. And if you were to send that in an email or post it on your Facebook page or whatever and tell people, hey, click on this and leave me a review, they're going to look at that and go, no thanks, because they don't really know what that does. It's a long, confusing URL string that they think might be spam. So what you want to do is you want to go out there and you want to copy that big, long, ugly string and use a URL shortening program to make it something that you can easily share with people and that they can remember. You can use a shortening service like bit.ly. So your review link would be bit.ly/review my website or whatever it would be. You can also add something to your website. For example, I put one in on my website, so you can just go to webstoresltd.com/review and it will bring up my Google review link. This is funny. In my opinion, for anybody that's a skier out there, you would get a kick out of this. This is actually Snowbird turning a negative review into a positive. They made this an ad because Snowbird is noted for being a really tough mountain. And so when this guy wrote this 1-star review saying that the mountain was too hard and that this is ridiculous, he felt like every trail was a steep chute that was littered with tree wells. How's anybody ever supposed to ride in that? It's no fun. Like I said, Snowbird basically turned that around into a positive. You do want to take any of your negative reviews and somehow either spin them into a positive or reach out to people that might leave you a negative review and try to mitigate that. One of the ways that you can do that is through a process that's called review gating. And basically what happens is you put a form up on your website that says, hey, write a review, and somebody information, they give you a 5-star review or 1-star review or whatever. They put in their name, their email, and what the review comments are. And depending upon how they answered this first question, it comes back and it says, hey, thanks for the review. Would you mind leaving that review on one of these other sites, on Google or Facebook or whatever, and you put a link on there that will copy that review up to these other websites for them. If they leave you a negative review, then you come back and you say, hey, thanks for your feedback. We're always trying to improve our products and services. You know, we're really sorry and we're going to try to make it right for you, type thing. So the point is that they have been able to vent their frustrations here, but that never appears on one of the review sites. On the other hand, if they left you a positive review, then you ask them to push that up to a review site. So you can actually try it now if you want to. If you've got a cell phone and you text the word 5 stars to 303-529-8804, that will bring up a screen on your phone that says, hey, thanks for agreeing to review web stores in this case. And you can write something nice in there like, hey, I sat in on Greg's webinar today. He provided tons of great information and I really appreciate it. And that's a way that you could actually use that type of a scenario in your business. So that's how you get people to click on your website. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is getting repeat visitors. So they've found you in the first place. They've clicked on your website. Now, how do you get them to come back again and again and again? And the way that this happens is you have to really look at what kind of value your site is providing. And the example I like to use here is, of course, Facebook. So if you went to Facebook today and you saw this on your news feed, you saw these same ads, you saw this same information today, and you went back tomorrow and you saw the exact same thing. And then let's say you go back a week from now and you still see the exact same content every time you go back to Facebook. A month from now, you go back and you're seeing the exact same content again from Facebook. And God forbid you go back a year from now and you see the exact same thing every time you go to Facebook. My question is, how often would you go back? And most people would say never. And so my question is what makes you think that your website's any different? If you have not changed anything on your website in the last year, why do you think people would keep coming back to your website over and over again? What makes you think that your site's any different? And guess what? It isn't. You basically have to provide constantly changing, personalized, timely, and relevant content to get people to return to your website on a regular basis. In fact, if you look at Google's top ranking factors for this year, web page content quality and content length are two of the big things that Google is looking at in order to determine how to push you up in the search results. Think of it this way. What happens when you start feeding animals? Basically, once an animal locates a steady source of food, he's going to be sure to come back when it's time for his next meal. And if you've made the decision to feed the animal, they're now going to view you as a food source, and they might even start to lose their natural fear of you. Sounds an awful lot like a potential customer. And that's what visitors to your website will do as well. If you keep providing them new content, they'll keep coming back. When you stop providing that content, they're going to go somewhere else. So you need to be constantly feeding them with new content. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, man, that sounds like a lot of work. How do I constantly come up with all this new content? You're telling me like I need to write stuff as frequently as Facebook changes or as frequently as Amazon changes their homepage, which, by the way, if you go to Amazon, you'll notice that every time you go there, it's different. Just like Facebook, even though Amazon is a site that sells stuff. The fact is that you need to figure out a way to do that, whether it be through blog posts, through products, through podcast episodes, whatever it is you're doing, you need to figure out a way to be providing this stream of new content to your website visitors. And once they get there, as the owner of a website, it's your responsibility to make sure that no one ever leaves your site without giving you their contact information. This is done by creating what's called a lead magnet. And we're going to talk more about lead magnets in next week's class. So you'll want to be sure to come back to that, and we'll show you how you can create lead magnets that are going to get people on your email list and get them to return to your website. But the thing is it can be a lot of work. You know, you create this piece of content and now you've got to go out there and you've got to post it up to Facebook. You got to post it to LinkedIn. You got to post it to Instagram. You got to post it to Twitter. You got to go out there and you got to create a newsletter for it. You got to let all these people know about it. So how do you succeed without brain damage and time overload? And the answer is you have to cope. And COPE is an acronym that stands for Create Once, Publish Everywhere. So you do this by automating things. And you can see here, this is one of the ways that I do this is I wrote an article here on my blog that appears on the homepage of my website. So my website is constantly being updated, and all I did was write that blog post. Well, by writing that blog post, I use automation and it automatically generates a newsletter for me. I don't have to do anything. I just write the blog post. The newsletter is generated for me and sent out to my email list. In addition to that, it is sent out automatically to all of my social media sites as well. So I do one thing. I write the article. And in fact, what I will typically do is I'll write several articles at once. I will schedule them out, and then I'll forget about it for several weeks or a month, and everything happens automatically. Now, you might be saying, well, does that really work? And this is my answer to that. Today, there are 1.94 billion websites out there. That's a lot of websites. Like I said, most of them are never going to be seen by anyone. But if you take a look at that top 25%, the ones that are going to be seen, how well does doing this really make a difference? And there is a site out there called Alexa.com. Yes, Alexa is owned by Amazon. They purchased it when they started doing their Alexa this and that type of speech recognition stuff. But if you take a look at my website, when I pulled this stat, my site ranked number 145,314 out of all of the websites on the entire planet. Alexa basically ranks the top 1% of the websites. So if your website doesn't have an Alexa rank, that means that you are not getting enough traffic for Alexa to take a look at it. But out of the 1.94 billion websites, my website was at 145,000 worldwide and 23,000 within the United States. So it does work. And, you know, if you stick with me through this course, next week, we're going to discuss how to actually get more sales. We're getting traffic to our website now. How do we actually turn that traffic into sales? So if you have not yet registered for next week's class, you can do that by going to webstoresltd.com/free-class-2, and that will sign you up for next week's class. And I hope to see you on that class. At this point, I'm going to stop my screen share and basically open it up to any questions that you might have. I did see one question that came through here earlier about the certain length that you should keep the video within when we were talking about creating videos. And Angela, I think I answered that question. It should be about 2 minutes. The videos that you are creating for a YouTube placement video are a completely different kind of video than if you're like doing a product demonstration or you're trying to show, you know, features of a product, a sales video, any of that stuff. It's a completely different kind of video. You really only need to have something that's at least 30 seconds long, and anything over 3 minutes is not going to do you any good. The sole purpose of that video is to create that link back to your website and to make sure that Google sees that link and pushes your video up to the first page of Google. So if you have any other questions, feel free to type them into either the Q&A area or the chat area here, and I'll stay on here for as long as I need to answer your questions. And otherwise, like I said, make sure that you come back same time next week, and we will talk about getting more sales. All right. I appreciate everybody that was here today, and you're welcome, Kathleen, and everybody else. And we will see you next week.